McGowan took to Twitter to call out Oprah. Over the weekend, she tweeted, "I'm glad more are seeing the ugly truth of Oprah. I wish she were real, but she isn't."
If Oprah was watching this, what would you tell her?
I would say, Oprah Winfrey, you know what you need to do. And stop hiding behind what you call was negative comments.
She received the Cecil B. DeMille Award for being great, which I'm shocked she's never gotten that award before.
Listen, you gotta stop acting like you don't know what you know. Stop acting like that thing, that person, that situation doesn't give you a rumbling in your gut.
Oprah Winfrey's rise to fame has always been lined with questions, whispers, and endless Hollywood speculations. Despite her famously warm smile and inspiring public image, there are tales behind the scenes that suggest a darker side to her influence. One that's as surprising as it is unsettling. And here's where things get even more intriguing. A handful of brave actresses have supposedly dared to step up and pull back the curtain on Oprah's powerful reach. But here's the kicker. What really happened to those who spoke out? Let's find out.
Wendy Williams is broke.
I have no money, and I'm gonna tell you something. If it happens to me, it could happen to you.
Something wrong going on.
First, Wendy Williams. So if you're imagining Wendy Williams and Oprah Winfrey side by side, you'd probably think they have some overlap. After all, both of them were the reigning queens of daytime TV, each with her own brand that extended far beyond just the small screen. They both broke ground as powerhouse black women in media, making huge strides not only in front of the camera, but behind it too, working as producers and executives. But that's where the similarities start to thin out, because just lately, Wendy has been facing some life-threatening issues, and words are that maybe Oprah could just be at it again, just like the Iyanla scandal back in the day.
What Oprah was offering me at the time, I didn't think I was worthy of, so I had to blow it up.
Although both are incredibly successful, wildly entertaining, and absolutely unforgettable. But let's face it, they each leave a very different vibe lingering once the TV clicks off. Oprah is all about lifting people up, telling stories that inspire and soothe, while Wendy, well, she's got a reputation for serving up the sass, tossing out pointed digs, and spilling all the celebrity tea. Sometimes to the point of, let's just say, stirring the pot. And she probably had stirred the wrong pot.
She blames Oprah for destroying her family.
Things, however, began to take a turn for Wendy back in 2011 when rumors started swirling about Oprah's best friend, Gayle King, who had supposedly decided to cut ties with Oprah after joining CBS. It wasn't long before Oprah, apparently hearing the whispers, sent a very clear message that made its way to Wendy's hands. Wendy, of course, couldn't resist pulling the letter out on her show, gleefully telling her audience, "I love when celebrities reach out to the Wendy Show to clear things up. That means they're watching." Not only was Oprah's response delightfully polite, finishing off with a "love Oprah" and a little smiley face, but the message was also crystal clear. Things between Oprah and Gayle were still solid. However, it was hard not to wonder if there was a subtle hint of tension between the two queens of daytime. It's like Oprah was publicly calling out Wendy, almost as if to say, "Really, Wendy, gossiping about me on TV?" Fast forward a few years, and it seems that Oprah wasn't about to let things slide so easily. Rumors suggest that Oprah might have been quietly waiting for her moment, and it just so happened to arrive in 2022. With the Wendy Williams show getting canceled, many of Wendy's crew had already moved over to Sherri Shepherd's new show, Sherri. Sherri, who guest hosted for Wendy during her health-related hiatus, became a huge hit and was soon a top contender for the full-time gig. But Wendy wasn't on board. Far from it, actually. Still holding out hope for a comeback, Wendy threw some shade in May on Instagram Live, saying, "I like her, but I won't be watching her because I know what she's going to be doing, and that's really not my thing." And just like that, the saga continued. Then came a plot twist that had everyone wondering if Oprah was behind the scenes, cheering on Sherri in her own way. Sherri later shared with Entertainment Weekly that Oprah herself had given her some sage advice about hosting, saying, "One thing I took from Oprah is," she said, "Sherri, the show is not about the ratings, it's about the energy. You put out the energy, and it will come back in direct proportion to you from the audience." With all that went down between Wendy and Oprah.
She said the energy that you give out will come back to you double.
Amen.
And she said, so make sure your energy.
Yeah.
And she says, you're going to be there and just make sure that you love and give it out, and it will come back to you.
Oprah's little gem of wisdom about energy seemed almost poetic, like she was subtly nudging for a fresh vibe, maybe even a less gossipy tone from the slot's new host. And with that, The Wendy-Oprah tension seemed to hit a new level, proving that this daytime drama is anything but over. In fact, words are that Oprah is allegedly not done dealing with Wendy. There are no backings to this, but there are words on the streets. And then there's Iyanla Vanzant. You've probably seen her name tossed around in headlines about Oprah Winfrey, or maybe in the thick of some Hollywood drama. But what most people don't know is just how wild things really got for Iyanla. At one point, she was right up there alongside Oprah, glowing in the spotlight on Winfrey's show, basking in the attention of millions as an inspirational speaker and life coach.
What happened? I was on Oprah's show, on the Oprah Winfrey Show, doing Change Your Life TV, and then people saw me, and other networks came after me.
But then, as the saying goes, things took a very unexpected turn, and suddenly it felt like Oprah was flipping the script, making it look like Iyanla was the one causing trouble.
So when I went to her and said, this is what I'd like to do, I said, because other people were coming to me and asking me this, I hadn't even thought about it.
Like you trying to protect your deal over here and force her into a deal. Yes! What I accept is that you knew what you were doing when you walked into that room and that you had the intention to force our hand. Absolutely not.
Now everyone knows Oprah Winfrey. If you somehow haven't kept up with her story, odds are you've still caught wind of it in bits and pieces. And right there in that story was Iyanla, who many first got to know thanks to Oprah herself. Iyanla had been by Oprah's side way before Oprah's show became a cultural phenomenon, so you'd think naturally Oprah would be there to support her, right? But well, sometimes things don't work out the way you'd expect. Iyanla's experience has even led to whispers about Oprah's true support for black women. Like, does it only run surface deep? Iyanla's journey seems to hint at that possibility. Despite being a best-selling author with a wealth of talent, she found herself having to rebuild from scratch after Oprah's show no longer seemed to have a place for her. It's been widely rumored that Oprah wasn't too thrilled about Iyanla's rising fame, that Oprah might not have liked the idea of anyone, even Iyanla, reaching for a piece of her spotlight.
What Oprah was offering me at the time, I didn't think I was worthy of. So I had to blow it up, and I did. That's the bottom line. I didn't think I was worthy of it because I was in the doing. I wasn't in the being.
It all really began unraveling in 1999. When Iyanla got an offer from another network for her own show. Now you'd think this would be good news, but this led to a massive 11-year-long fallout between her and Oprah. And here's the kicker. It wasn't just a matter of Iyanla jumping ship without notice. She actually approached Oprah's team first, eager to keep everything on the up and up. She talked to them about her options, and when it seemed like they weren't interested, she moved forward with the other offer. But the fallout was quick and brutal. According to Iyanla, her team at Oprah's company felt like she was trying to leverage Oprah's fame to get a better deal, which they apparently saw as an unforgivable offense. And just like that, the doors were slammed shut. Years later, the two sat down to discuss what went wrong, and Iyanla tried to explain her side, saying, "I know I said I would wait, but I felt like all these opportunities were coming and I needed to see if it was time for my own show." But by then, the damage was done. Oprah, it seems, felt that loyalty wasn't negotiable, and if Iyanla was going to go out and create her own success without Oprah's full endorsement, well, she could do it alone. But it gets even more intense because Oprah didn't just settle things in private. She called Iyanla to her show and had her clear the air in front of a live audience. Imagine that. Iyanla was practically cornered into admitting she'd made mistakes, which really didn't seem fair given that it was all happening under Oprah's watchful eye. When Iyanla explained it all on the show, she admitted she felt guilty, saying, "It shook me to my core," she says. "I was also hurt and guilty about the way I left here, hurt that I didn't understand what I had done, and guilty because my story is I always do the wrong thing." That insecurity, she said, made her misinterpret what Oprah had said to her years before. "When you said, 'bless you, go forward,' that's not what I heard," Iyanla tells Wendy. "What I heard was, you did the wrong thing and you're being punished."
You were not coming into that meeting to get us to make a decision for doing a show for you? Yes, but not with that connotation of do it now or I'm going here.
Now, Iyanla's reflections have continued on other platforms too. On The Breakfast Club, she opened up about how her lack of experience with industry etiquette likely worsened the situation. She shared, "I didn't have a manager. I didn't have an agent. I was going up to talk to people like they was at the Key Food. And so not understanding that about me and being in this industry, it was assumed that I was leveraging, which I wasn't." I didn't even know what that stuff was. I just asked for what I wanted. Now, if you look closely, some fans are convinced Iyanla might have felt pressured to tell the story Oprah's way on The Oprah Show. When she spoke on Tell Me More, Iyanla gave a different take, saying that she felt there was a certain loyalty expected of her as a protege that she hadn't shown, and maybe Oprah took that personally. She clarified that she'd never actually had a one-on-one talk with Oprah before things exploded. People thought we were close, but I never had a conversation with her. Everything happened through her lawyer or executive producer, she revealed, suggesting there were layers of misunderstanding that no one had bothered to unravel at the time. Naturally, fans noticed the discrepancies, and many were quick to point out a common pattern. One fan even commented, "Look at everyone she put on. Dr. Oz, Dr. Phil, Suze Orman. Iyanla was the only black person, and look what happened to her." Others argue that Iyanla's strength and independence might have made Oprah uneasy, especially in an industry that can be incredibly competitive, even between close allies. And as if to back this up, there have been whispers that other strong black women, like Toni Braxton, have faced similar tensions with Oprah. So while Iyanla and Oprah's story has been told and retold from many angles, the lingering question remains, was it really all just a misunderstanding, or did the industry politics and Oprah's towering influence play a bigger role in sidelining Iyanla's potential? For now, only they know the full truth, but for the fans watching, it's clear there's more to this than meets the eye. And then there's Toni Braxton, the unforgettable singer and songwriter whose powerful voice and iconic tracks turned her into a household name and a music legend practically overnight in the late 80s. Toni captivated audiences with her soulful voice and emotional performances.
I was in shock. Do you take responsibility for the situation that you're in right now?
100%.
100%.
100%.
And not just that, but her life took an even bigger spotlight when she starred alongside her sisters and mother in the reality show Braxton Family Values, giving fans a glimpse into the life of the Grammy-winning R&B star and the ups and downs of fame. But despite her massive success, Toni's journey took some heartbreaking twists and turns. At one point, she filed for bankruptcy, and this financial crisis happened around the same time she faced a serious health scare.
She says to me, "I hear you have Gucci flatware." I'm Oprah Winfrey and I don't have Gucci flatware.
These setbacks hit her hard, but what really adds another layer to the story is the speculation that there might be a connection between Toni's troubles and, surprisingly, Oprah Winfrey. Now, at the time of her financial difficulties, Toni actually appeared on The Oprah Winfrey Show, expecting maybe a compassionate chat or at least a chance to explain her side of things. But instead, what Toni found on Oprah's stage was a rather blunt, even confrontational line of questioning that left her reeling. Oprah's tone seemed unexpectedly critical, as though she was subtly suggesting Toni's financial issues were due to irresponsible spending, hinting that maybe Toni's lifestyle was the reason for her bankruptcy. The questions were pointed and, to many viewers, came off as an indirect critique, as if Oprah was pressing Toni about how her taste for luxury, like her rumored Gucci flatware, contributed to her financial downfall. Toni was visibly taken aback, later sharing that she thought Oprah's questions were shockingly tough, and at the time, she was caught off guard by the way the interview had shifted from what she'd anticipated.
I read that you were upset about stories that your overspending caused this.
Reflecting on that day, Toni remembered feeling hurt and blindsided by someone she admired deeply. She even expressed just how much she respected Oprah, saying she'd looked up to her for years and had been a huge fan before the interview. But after that day, it was clear Toni's perception changed as she said, "She was so frickin' mean to me, I was in shock," emphasizing that Oprah's tone felt more like a reprimand than a conversation. To Toni, it seemed like Oprah was saying in no uncertain terms that her financial troubles were of her own making, even dropping a line about how she herself didn't own Gucci flatware, implying Toni's choices were careless. To add a bit of salt to the wound, Toni recalled how Oprah seemed to punctuate her criticism with a gesture, pinching her fingers together as if to say, "I'm modest, you, however, are not." It was a comment that, for Toni, felt patronizing and belittling, and according to her, it left her feeling humiliated on national television. So while Toni's career challenges were rooted in real-world financial and health issues, some can't help but wonder if Oprah's tough approach that day contributed in some way to the obstacles Toni faced afterward, leaving fans to question just what exactly went down between these two icons. In the years since, Toni's story has continued to resonate with fans, who view her as a survivor who overcame immense hurdles to maintain her legacy. But as for the rumors about Oprah's involvement or the impact of that infamous interview, that remains a part of Hollywood lore, with fans and critics alike still debating whether Oprah's harsh words were simply a tough love approach or something a bit more complicated. And honestly, it seems that for many, the question of what really happened between Toni and Oprah is one that will probably linger for a long time to come. And then there's the unforgettable story of Oprah's involvement with Michael Jackson, a relationship that started out on friendly, even groundbreaking terms, but eventually spiraled into something that left fans of the King of Pop feeling betrayed and infuriated. Back in 1993, Michael opened the doors to Neverland Ranch and allowed Oprah in for an exclusive interview that wasn't just a big moment for him, but a game changer for Oprah too. It catapulted her into global prominence, drawing in a staggering audience of over 100 million viewers worldwide and solidifying her as a serious, internationally recognized media icon. But that was only the beginning. After Michael's untimely death, Oprah's actions took a turn that left fans scratching their heads, wondering just how she could go from championing him to seemingly turning her back. In 2019, Oprah created waves again when she released a special following the release of Leaving Neverland, a controversial HBO documentary featuring Michael's accusers, Wade Robson and James Safechuck. The documentary itself was a bombshell, but what made Oprah's role even more surprising was her decision to host a special sit-down with the accusers, two men who had previously testified under oath that Michael had done nothing to harm them. To fans, this felt like a slap in the face, and Monique, the outspoken comedian and actress, wasn't about to let it slide. She publicly called out Oprah, accusing her of taking advantage of Michael's legacy at a time when he could no longer defend himself, leaving fans to question Oprah's motives and whether her shift in stance was, at least in part, a way to capitalize on the renewed media frenzy around Michael's life.
We gotta throw this out of here. So here's a man that was found not guilty in the eyes of the law. In the eyes of the law. And you wait for 10 years after this man is deceased.
In response to the backlash, Oprah defended her involvement, saying she wanted to bring awareness to the broader issue of abuse in the entertainment industry, particularly the seduction tactics she believed perpetrators often use to manipulate victims. But that explanation did little to soothe Michael's fans, especially when they recalled a 2012 interview on her own network featuring Michael's daughter, Paris Jackson. While Oprah framed the interview as a career-boosting opportunity for Paris, fans were quick to accuse her of exploiting the Jackson family's pain, using the daughter of the man she had publicly discredited for her own network's gain. Fans even went so far as to write an open letter to Oprah, expressing their disappointment and disbelief at how she could use Michael's legacy and his grieving children to benefit her platform, despite having cast doubt on his character when he was alive. The letter didn't hold back, highlighting the irony of how Oprah's career had benefited from that historic 1993 interview with Michael, a moment that drew record ratings and introduced her to a worldwide audience. It accused her of hypocrisy, noting that while she once owed much of her international fame to him, she had later taken it upon herself to judge him publicly, branding him with suspicion even before he had his day in court. The letter wrapped up with a pointed conclusion calling Oprah out for what they saw as a shameless exploitation of a grieving family, noting that few in the media have called out your shameful exploitation and hypocrisy, but we applaud the few who did. For fans of Michael Jackson, the whole ordeal underscored the disappointment they felt towards someone who once seemed like a champion for the underdog. To them, Oprah's actions over the years painted a picture of someone willing to twist vulnerable moments into media spectacles, leaving them questioning whether her intentions were ever as genuine as she claimed. In the end, it served as a stark reminder of the thin line between journalism and spectacle, and for many, it left a lasting impression that some in the media world might prioritize the story over the people behind it.